I agree. This equation does not look right to me. Okay, there's no way we can look at this equation and figure out what the y-intercept is or the slope is just by looking at it. We're going to have to do some kind of computations or calculations. Okay, so our goal is going to be to turn this into an equation that's in the correct format. An equation in the correct format should look like y equals, and it should have some number in front of an x, and then plus or minus some other number. This is what's called slope-intercept form. Okay, this equation is not in slope-intercept form, so I can't look at it and figure out what the slope and the y-intercept are. Luckily, it's really simple to get it into slope-intercept form. Basically, I just need to work on getting this y by itself right here. So I'm going to do a little bit of algebra to get this y by itself. We've been practicing solving equations all year, right? And that's all solving an equation is. You're just getting the variable by itself. You're isolating the variable. Now, this is a little bit weird because it does have an x in it, but that's okay. We got this. First thing, could I get you guys to put a 1 in front of that x, please? You should be writing this down on your scratch paper. If I want to get this whole thing with y by itself here, I need to get rid of this 1x, and then last thing I'm going to do is get rid of this 2. So I'm going to get rid of this positive 1x, and I'm going to do it just like we would if it were a number. I'm going to go minus 1x, and I'm going to do it on both sides. Now, I'm not writing it underneath the 4 because I can't combine a 4 and a 1x together, can I? 4 and 1x are not like terms. We can't put them together. So I'm going to cross these out. We still have our positive 2y over here equals. When I write these, I'm going to have to write them both down, but I'm going to put the 1x, the negative 1x first, because that's how we're used to seeing our equations. Usually we have our x term first. So I'm going to put my minus 1x first. And this was a positive 4, correct? So I'm going to put that plus 4 at the end. So all I've done so far is I got rid of the 1x over here. This is starting to look more like we're used to, right? It has a number in front of the x, and then it has a number at the end, right? The thing that it doesn't have, though, is it doesn't have the y by itself yet. Remember, to get it in slope-intercept form, it always just needs to be y equals. And right now it's 2y equals. So how do you suggest we get rid of this 2 here? How would you do it if you were solving an equation and you had a 2 in front of a variable? What would you do? You would divide it. Now, this is a little bit tricky. When we divide and we've got lots of stuff in our equation, you have to divide every term in the equation by the same things. We're going to divide everything by 2. So that's going to cancel. Now we've just got y equals. This is going to turn into a fraction, this negative 1 over 2. I'm going to write it as a fraction, and I'm going to put it in front of my x. That's negative 1/2 x plus, what is 4 divided by 2? 2. Now it's in the right format. Can you look at this equation and tell me what my slope is? It's negative 1/2. Can you tell me what my y-intercept is? It's 2. Would you be able to graph this now? Absolutely. All right, so we've got one equation we could graph. Let's look at our second equation for practice set Z. Oh my goodness, this one has a 7 and a 4 in it. Those are big numbers. That's all right, we got this. I'm going to write this off to the side. 7x plus 4y equals negative 12. And we're going to basically do the same steps we did just a moment ago. First thing we'll do is get rid of this 7x. So I'm going to go minus 7x on both sides. That cancels the 7x, leaving me with just a 4y equals. And remember, when you write this other side down, put it in the order that you want it to be in, right? It doesn't matter whether I put the negative 12 or the negative 7x first. we're used to seeing the x first in our equations for lines, right? So let's put this first. Let's put the negative 7x first and the negative 12 at the end. And then one more step and we got it. Let's divide by 4 on both sides. When we do that, remember, everything gets divided by 4. Cancel there, gets us our y equals. This is going to be a pretty wacky slope, negative 7 over 4x. And then minus 12 over 4. What's 12 over 4? 12 divided by 4 is 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Any questions on how I took those two equations and put them into slope-intercept form? Let's go ahead and graph these. You guys have some graph paper in front of you. Does anybody need the page with the graphs on it? Let's graph these and find where they intersect. So this is number 1. Notice that both of our slopes are negative, so we're going to expect both to be going downhill from left to right. One of them's going down 1 over 2. The other one's going down 7 and over 4. Make sure you're drawing those slope triangles off to the side. That's going to keep you from making mistakes. All right, this one's got a y-intercept of 2. I need to go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2 a bunch of times. And then back it up. And I gave away my ruler, so I'll have to freehand it. That's not terrible. This one has a y-intercept of -3. And this time I need to go down 7 and over 4, which I'm not going to have space to do that over here. Down 7 and over 4 would be like here. But I could go backwards. I could go up 7 and 4 the other direction. So I'm going to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 1, 2, 3. That actually gets me right to there. That's so this point right here and this point right here are the only 2 points I can get on my graph. And then if I had a ruler, I could make this line straighter, but my line's going to go right down through it like that. But that's enough for me to see my intersection and write down my intersection point, which is -4 on the x and 4 in the y. Okay. Who's got questions? Do you guys, how many people would like to see one more example of this? Okay. Let me give you your assignment first, okay? For those of you who I circled set Z, some of you have a choice, but some of you I said you have to do set Z. Okay, your assignment for set Z is to do 6 problems on your own. That doesn't count the one that we just did together. That doesn't count the example that I'm going to do one more example. I'll do number 2. So if you were assigned to do set Z, you need to do problems 3 through what? 3 through 8. That would be 6 problems, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 6 problems. You got to do those 6 problems on your own. Okay, that's your in-class assignment for today. If you were assigned set Z. If I gave you a choice and you decide to do Y, I need you to do all 12 of them. The set Z ones take twice as long. Would you agree? They take twice as long because you got to do all this work before you can even graph it. That's why you only have to do 6 problems if you do set Z, because they take twice as long. Okay. You guys think that's fair? If you're doing set Y, you don't have to do all this work first. You already have this equation. All you got to do is graph it. Now, if you had trouble doing the quiz at the beginning of class, then do those 12 problems. It's going to be good for you to do those graphs because it's going to help you on the test. There's a whole bunch of graphs on the test. There's only one problem like this on the final exam out of 50. But there's like 6 or 7 where you got to be able to graph lines like this on the test. All right, so make a good choice. If I gave you the choice, I want you to make a good choice. Now, if I assigned you set Z, it's because I could tell from your work that you already know how to graph. So I want you to challenge yourself and do those set Z problems. You got me? All right, I'm going to do one more example. You can choose to pay attention to me, or if you feel like you got it, go ahead and start working on your own, but work silently until I get this next example done. So I am now doing set Z number 2. Any questions on your assignment before we do this example? I'll go over the assignment here in just a second. Set Z number 2, we'll go over this one again as well. Some of you wanted another example. How many people want that second example? All right, we got 3 or 4. That's enough. We're going to do it one more. Again, just ignore me if you would like. Set Z number 2. We got 2x minus y equals -3. I'm going to go ahead and write down both of my equations. I'll put them side by side instead of on top of each other. Then we got plus y equals -2. Okay. Thanks for your patience. Okay, I like to put 1s in front of my variables that don't have them. I'm going to put a 1 in front of this y and this y. And all right, I'm looking to get this y by itself. So I'm going to get rid of this 2x first. I'm going -2x on both. I got -1y equals, and I'm going to flip these around when I write them down because I want my x to come first. I'll put my -2x first and my -3 at the end. This time around, I am dividing by what? I'm trying to get this y by itself. I guess I'm dividing by -1. And everything gets divided by -1. That's kind of nice, actually, because when you divide by -1, the only thing that happens is it just flips all of your signs. So -2 divided by -1 just becomes a +2x. -3 divided by -1 just becomes a +3. And that one's ready to go. I'll go ahead and put a 1 underneath this 2, so I've got everything I need to graph that. But let's go ahead and work on the second equation. Let's get the second equation ready, just the same as we did a second ago. So following the same steps, get rid of your x first. It's a 3x this time, so I'll go minus 3x on both sides. Leaves me with a 1y. And I like to see my x's first, so I'll put the minus 3x first and the minus 2 at the end. This one is nice. Isn't 1y the same as just y? It is, isn't it? So I don't really even need to write that one there. It's just y equals negative 3x minus 2. We don't need to divide by anything because it's already got the y by itself. I'll go ahead and put a 1 underneath that minus 3 so it's ready to graph. All right, good. So we're ready to graph these two equations. We got them in the right format. All right. So my first equation has a y-intercept at 3. It has a slope of 2/1. I should make my slope triangle first. It's a positive slope, so it's going to be going uphill from left to right, up 2/1. And our y-intercept is at 3 here. So I'll draw my first point here at 3 on the y-axis. And then I'll count up 2/1 until I get off the edge of my graph. Up 2/1, 2/1, and then I'll back it up and go the opposite direction. The second equation has a negative slope. So we want it to be going downhill from left to right. Our slope triangle would look like this. Our rise over 1 is 3/1 this time. So down 3 and over 1. We've got a different y-intercept. This one's starting at negative 2 on the y-axis. So that'll be my first point. And this time I'm counting down 3/1. And then I'll back it up and go the opposite direction. So all I'm missing is my intersection, which is at -1, 1. -1 on the x, 1 on the y. Okay. So once again, if you are doing set y, I need you to do 1 through 12. If you're doing set z, I need you to do 3 through 8. Please show me those when you get finished, and I'll give you the homework and you can get started on that. Let me know what questions you have, folks. Rank it after it. If you'd like